In 1895, the leading physicists of the day said flying machines are impossible. But by 1905, within a decade, the Wright brothers were actually flying. Like the invention of the airplane, this is the true story of the impossible. In 1989, a scientist named Randall Mills made a giant leap in science. For physics, he did the impossible. He solved the math of the electron and the photon. You are seeing light for the very first time in your life. But even at MIT today, 30 years later, they say it is impossible to know what an electron even is.
You're not allowed to ask, where is the electron right now? You are allowed to ask, if I look for the electron in this little particular part of space, what is the likelihood I will find it there? I mean, that bugs anyone, anytime.
While physics had a better solution, it was ignored. How could one man in a private lab change everything? Mills, for his part, tried to tell them, but few scientists listened. His attention moved to another leapfrog idea. The math predicted that hydrogen had an undiscovered, smaller form. He called it the hydrino. When hydrogen was near the right catalyst, it would downconvert to a smaller form. This is the most powerful reaction we know. All chemical energy is from electrons moving to more stable energy levels. Hydrogen burning, which is rocket fuel, releases 1.48 eV, but hydrino creation releases more than 100 times that at 204 eV. Meanwhile, science has ignored Mills' electron solution and moved into science fiction.
As far as quantum mechanics goes, we're struggling with it. But when a theory says that an electron can be here, or here, or here, some percent of the time, you ask yourself, does that mean the electron is at all of those places? And if it is at all of those places, when I measure it, why do I only find it at one or another location? We still struggle with this, but some of the ideas that have been put forward are fairly radical. One of those ideas suggests that if an electron can be here, and here, and here, then it is at all those locations, just in different universes. So when you measure the position of the electron in one universe, you find it here. In another universe, a copy of you finds it here. And in yet another universe, another copy of you finds it there. Parallel worlds emerging from the mathematics of quantum physics.
But if hydrino energy is real, quantum mechanics can't be real. There are no multiple universes or copies of you, just one simple electron. Hundreds of scientists have worked on hydrino energy, and there are 100+ articles on the subject. 30 from just 2000 to 2003 alone. But still, physicists ignore this. You can't make this one up. One said in 2016, if I had strong evidence, I would submit it to journals in the field. This is just like the Wright brothers. The impossible is becoming possible. In 2009, Nobel Prize physicists said, hydrino energy is impossible. Nonsense. But in November 2015, at his brilliant light power lab, Randall Mills achieved explosive and sustained hydrino energy. The impossible theory, the impossible energy, was now explosively real. In 2017, BLP partnered with Berkshire Hathaway to build a heating product. In August 2018, they have it running and are in refinement. In October 2018, they are iterating on material science work for containment of this chemical reaction, which burns hotter than any fossil fuel. In December 2018, they have the world's first sustained plasma reactor. But would you feel safe this close to a nuclear reactor? Hydrino energy is most similar to a natural gas power plant, but is clean, like solar. The byproduct of this chemistry is dihydrino gas, which occurs naturally in the environment. Hydrino energy can be installed at $100 a kilowatt, which is at least 1/10 the install cost of a solar farm. A 1 megawatt solar farm would cost $1 million to install, whereas the SunCell would cost about $100,000 to install. Our model suggests solar energy, even with dropping PV prices and increased efficiency cells, cannot compete on cost and ultimately has a worse environmental footprint. The SunCell could sell energy at 5 cents a kilowatt hour or even less to undercut any solar price. BLP is established with a strong patent book and valued like a growth stage company. Like Apple with the iPhone 1.0, they need to get SunCell 1.0 in a shippable state and are focused on doing that with their partners. We think the important risks have been mitigated and we'd like to cover them off one by one. Scientific risk. Here we refer to a commercial scientist, Dr. Joseph Rennick, who is the chief scientist at Applied Research Associates, a $200 million defense contractor. Reproducibility is the bedrock of scientific process. Listen to how ARA reproduced Hydrino energy independently in university labs.
ARA is a science and technology engineering firm. Most of our business is with defense. We've been in business about 35 years, around 1,100 employees, a little over 200 million annual receipts. When I talk to the engineers and scientists in the labs and the DOD labs, then they say, we don't care about the controversy, just show us what you got, show us your stuff. Do that, show us what you got, then we can talk. We have completed 2 validation studies with 2 major universities, with the major well-known research facilities and labs at those universities. And we have confirmed that this amazing thermal energy generation from materials, simple materials, common materials, that you simply cannot explain where that energy came from. And so we have basically validated that twice. In fact, so it was that kind of thinking that led to the license agreement that we signed a little over a year ago that gives ARA rights to use the solid fuel technology, much of what you've been seeing here, for government purposes only. Just a couple of comments in having been working with Lifeline for 15 years, seeing the experiments, have a pretty good understanding of what's going on here. And in particular, the power production technology that Randy has just showed you. From a consideration of the mechanics, the physics, processes that are involved, there simply are no showstoppers.
In terms of engineering risk, Brilliant Light Power is working with TMI Climate Solutions, a company owned by Berkshire Hathaway. TMI makes industrial heaters. Why make a heater? Because heat is a huge market and there's no need to convert to power using photovoltaic cells. We talked to Chief Engineer at TMI, Zeke, more than a year ago. Note that the images you are seeing are more recent, showing they are in testing now, which is exactly where Zeke said they would be approximately at this time. And you know, how long is the engineering cycle on something like this design?
Well, we've been working on it for a little while, and we're hoping to close out this stage of it in the next, be a little conservative, next couple weeks.
Is there a next step that you guys would understand would be the normal next step for a project like this?
Yeah, well, this isn't terribly typical for what we normally do, but the next step would be when they're kind of at a more of a design freeze on the whatever you call the thing, the dome, whatever. But that seems like it's got a little bit of flux still in it. So once that gets a little more set, and we'll have a size set, and we can, possibly look to move forward on, actually getting something we can build. Yeah.
The boiler you guys are you planning to make, would it even require electrical, like PV? It wouldn't, right? It would probably be some other mechanism.
No, actually not. It could work in conjunction with it, or even if it didn't have that.
Yeah, okay.
When we looked at it, it was without the PV.
Prototyping would probably take some months, I would imagine, to even a year before we're talking about something that's, in the market. Do you guys have?
Yeah, I would definitely think that. Yeah.
Yeah, that just sounds normal for something that's kind of new.
I mean, we may be faster than that to actually develop a prototype and get something in for testing and stuff, but.
In terms of larger partners who can deploy this technology into the market, Brilliant Light Power brought on ABM in 2017. ABM is a public company with $5 billion in revenues. They are a facility management firm that will deploy the SunCell. Listen to Bill Maurer, SVP of Energy at ABM.
For those of you I have not met, my name is Bill Maurer, Senior Vice President here at ABM. I run the energy group for ABM. And about a year ago, I got a call from my friend across the pond and said, hey, I got this new technology I'm kind of involved with. Check it out. So I flew in, went and met Dr. Mills from New Jersey, went through the technology, spent some time day out there in the plant, and honestly, I looked at that and said, if this thing really works, this was a year ago, if this thing works the way it's going to work, it's going to change the way we look at energy forever, electricity. I was obviously skeptical, seen some of this stuff in the past. Over the last year, I can tell you firsthand, I've been in the energy business for almost 25 years now. Firm believer in this thing. ABM is a strategic partner with Brilliant Light Power. We've got a lot of different things that we're involved with together without getting into too much NDA stuff, but we're very excited about the opportunity to work with Brilliant Light Power and what they can bring to the table.
To reduce market adoption risk, Brilliant Light Power is securing market distribution partnerships in other countries. They have received 7-figure non-refundable checks, millions of dollars, to secure upfront licensing. In Canada, they partner with Paragon Power. We talked to Sam Bach, CEO of Paragon Power, whose talented team includes highly skilled people from the Alberta utility ENMAX.
I have a background in chemistry and physics. I was an energy banker in New York. I was an environmental scientist I went to school at Middlebury. A broad thinker like you are too. The first things I was doing was bringing utility groups and oil and gas groups to Randy. We have a group that's been in communication with him now for a while.
Yeah.
And when he's ready, we'd like to try and license a specific territory. And we have a very skilled utility-backed team that would do that. Paragon Power is all about. Einstein had to produce about 1/10 of what Randy's produced, or 1/5 of what Randy's produced, to get recognition. And the head of, there was some really malicious activity on the part of the American Physics Society.
We're trying to basically close the loop by Aaron Barth, Ketterly, like all of them. I have the emails. I said, have you had time to look at these journal articles in the last 10 years since your comment? And the premises were editing Wikipedia. So give them a motivation to, and they basically, 3 of them said, I haven't had time to look.
They'll be committing suicide, these guys. I mean, they look like such horses' asses for everything they've been saying all this time. I mean, it should have woken everyone up already, everything he's done over the last 3 years.
No, I know. Should have.
Mind-boggling that no one gets it. So, but it isn't.
No.
In some ways, too, because you just have an increasingly illiterate society. And he's been generating massive amounts of power, and at different points, if you've done a real history of him, which is, it's not you can do the history on his website if you need to, but it takes hours and hours and hours. I mean, I have 25,000 hours minimum into Brilliant Light and understanding the process and discussing all this stuff and explaining it to investors. Because I'm following this so long and I'm seeing certain trends. I don't think, trying to get conventional academia moving around is going to have anything to do with this in the long run. The banks are I know the banks are just waiting to see the commercial device. When that happens, the lid's just going to blow off this thing. Stock value of BLP, development of the technology. I don't know if Putin's going to go and nationalize it. That's a concern I have. But I think in certain countries where where IP law is strong, you'll be able to develop certain business models as long as they're protected properly.
Similar to Canada, Brilliant Light Power has a partner in Mexico. Fusion de Ideas is a private equity firm who runs Inextra Energia, the company that will take to market the SunCell in Mexico. And they intend to use it for internal projects like desalination. I talked to Emilio Chavez, founder of Fusion de Ideas, about their business.
Along with some friends, some 30-some years ago here in Mexico, we make business software, accounting software, and we're the market leader in Mexico. I founded other companies. Now we have a private equity fund and a couple of hedge funds. We have a company that sells compressed natural gas for industry. We grew the company into selling to other industries, and we were then looking at alternative sources of clean energy. We looked at a lot of projects, including projects with solar cells. That's the most promising technology was Brilliant. So I started following Brilliant, and we actually were convinced that Randy has a working theory and a solution, and that the predictions that he has been making have, one little by little, have been coming up and being proven in the media. Slowly, very slowly. As they say, science advances one death at a time. Yeah. So as the physicists get older and die, the technology will be accepted. So we have.
And so, in terms of you guys thinking about taking this to market, obviously it's not a tomorrow type thing, but have you done any legwork? Or
I would say a good idea of what we would do, because we would actually be receiving the generator, UL certified generators that we just need to install, and so for us it would be more sales and marketing operation with the perhaps an outsourced installation network. Here in Mexico, we just we approached one of the large companies, which is the largest producer of silver in the world. Okay. So we went to them. We presented the company, the technology. They showed some interest, but after a while, they just didn't follow up. They really didn't want to do this, because companies here are not really developers of technology. They implement. They have a lot of capex, billions of dollars, but they're actually just implementing somebody else's technology. But something so radically different, and they go on Wikipedia and they check that the comments on Randy and on Brilliant, they're very easily discouraged. But people don't want to take these huge leaps. This is a huge leap. I guess desalination is the industrial process that requires that has the highest percentage of energy as its main cost. We actually tried to participate in a group that was bidding for one desalination plant that was bid upon last November, I think. Yes. If you get into a project with the current economics of electricity, and all of a sudden the economics change dramatically, then you're going to be losing money because your main cost will drop significantly. And also for us, a big factor was in our decision was to take a look at the people surrounding Randy. In the case of Randy, you have not only the huge amount of information, papers, patents available for you to consult, but you can also see that he's surrounded by a lot of interesting and very successful individuals. In the advisory board, at the board level, So that also for a businessman, when you speak to a businessman, that has big weight because this is not just a crackpot, putting out theories. No, he's surrounded by a lot of smart people who are saying, we think this is going somewhere.
We are End of Petroleum. Scientists and investors focus on a new source of green energy. I'm Naveed, and as a designer, I synthesize technology and business for disruptive outcomes. In the past, I've led scientific innovation across Canon Medical and founded startups. Kendrick is a certified private equity professional and manages our fund through Kirk & Co. Asset Management. He has been involved in private acquisitions and financings totaling $300 million. Brett Holverstadt worked at Brilliant Light Power with Randall Mills in his New Jersey lab, published papers, and wrote the book on Hydrino energy. Jessie is our analyst and has worked at CPP, Canada's pension fund, and a VC firm. She also works at TD Bank doing due diligence on hedge funds. We're the only team in the world with hands-on understanding of Hydrino energy and the underlying physics and can offer consulting to scientists or impact investors.